Thank you. So we have a pretty packed agenda here today. So I'm going to get started first before I hand things over to one of our partners. And then we are also going to do just a shell plant update, just to make sure everyone's up to date with the recent happenings and some things that were going on around the shell plant in this past month. So I am just going to start to share my screen. Just give me 1 minute. Sorry, we're still letting people in. Okay. All right, so this is our AirSense update, and I am really excited to bring this to you all. We have been, we've been working really hard since July to get everything up and running, and even to present this update to you all, it just means a lot, and we want to make sure that we're being transparent with everyone. So again, if you have any questions as we're moving along, please feel free to raise your hand, and we'll stop and make sure that we do that. So I just wanted to run through the objectives of this project. AirSense is really what we're calling 3 smaller projects because they all have to do with the air quality in Beaver County. So I'm just going to run through our goals. The first one is to assess the quality of the air in Beaver County 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and make sure that the residents in Beaver County can see the data and understand what we're putting or what we're breathing in and what we're seeing. The second goal is to provide mobile air monitoring, and this is separate from the 5 stationary air monitors that we have, because this one, not only is it picking up and reading different types of compounds that the stationary monitors are able to pick up and read, but we can move it anywhere in the county. So if we get reports of poor air quality or a concerning smell, we can hook up the tow hitch, drive the air monitor over there, and we can just drop it and leave it. So as long as we want. All of the data is transferred via cellular data as well. So it's nice and easy, and very low maintenance, and it's designed to be that way. The third objective is to inform Beaver County residents of the presence of our real-time air monitors and the data available so that they can make informed decisions about possible exposures and health risks. And that's really important to us, considering the fact that we didn't realize that there was a benzene exposure or leak for weeks, almost months afterwards. We were playing outside, we were going for walks along River Road. All of these things were happening without our knowledge, and we want to make sure that that doesn't happen again in the future. And keep in mind, it doesn't have to be specific to the shell plant. We know that petrochemical facilities emit a lot of toxins that are harmful to the body, but they are not the only polluter in Beaver County, and we need to keep that in mind. Our fourth goal is to gather data through surveys and trends, and we are still trying to figure out all of the assessments and gather all of our surveys. And our fifth is to determine if environmental air pollution in Beaver County has biometric outcomes for residents. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So I think it's really important to remember that air quality is responsible for up to 100,000 premature deaths each year in the US. This is a statistic that is not changing, regardless of the fact that the Clean Air Act is in place, regardless of the fact that we have permits and state-run protections in place. And sorry, we're continuing to let people in. So it's just this is just a reminder that, again, the petrochemical facilities are emitting harmful pollutants like VOCs, the volatile organic compounds, and also hazardous air pollutants into the air. And these are compounds that have been deemed extremely harmful to life, and not only of humans, but of our wildlife in the area as well. And without some type of monitoring happening, we're not necessarily sure that these polluters will turn themselves in and be as transparent as we know that they need to be. So when we're talking about objective one, assessing the quality of the air in Beaver County in real time and sharing the data with residents, this is actually a picture in the background of our first meeting that we had in Monaca at our warehouse that we have rented we have it through the end of November. We provided a community training and information session with our partner Wilbur Technologies in Monaca. We did have Emily Green there, who works with the DEP. We had the support of the Monaca Borough Manager present, and we really had a lot of just our other colleagues and supporters who are interested. And, while I'm saying this, I really want to make sure that everyone understands that we have gathered over 100 hours of volunteer time on this specific project alone. And so we are extremely grateful to have the expertise and the knowledge of those working with us. Obviously, I'm not a scientist. These things only happen when community members who care come together to drive the change in the community. And that's really what we're seeing with this project. So all 5 air monitors, the stationary air monitors, have been received. 2 have been installed as of the end of October of 2024. And the data is now being received and analyzed with the Environmental Health Project. And Aaron is here. He's going to speak about the data, about how EHP has helped us with this project, and really what we can expect to come in terms of data for the future. So we do have the other 3 stationary air monitors up and ready to be installed. We just figured without the help of Wilbur Technologies out in the field, we needed to do a lot of this work indoors in the warehouse first. And it's easier to just run to Lowe's, maybe the next day, and not have to keep going on site to these air monitor host yards and disrupt their lives. So we did a bunch of that work behind the scenes before we're moving air monitors out. So here's a couple of pictures of our first install, and this took place in Brighton Township. And what you're looking at here are the 4 solar panels on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, John is actually connecting the solar panels that you can see behind him to this power box. And that power box on the left-hand side is what connects to the air monitor, and that's how the monitor is powered. So right now we are experiencing some technical difficulties with the solar panels, only because if you take a look, you can see that we decided to place them in kind of a wooded area, and what we've found is that they need to be moved out. They're just not getting enough sunlight to provide power to the air monitor around the clock and charge the batteries that are needed to cover at night. So that was a challenge that we didn't really expect. So that one is kind of coming on and off, but this is why we wanted to make sure that we got this air monitor installed first, because we knew that there might be some technical difficulties that needed to be worked through. And then this is a picture of Phoebe Reese, who's actually on here today. I think she's one of our board members. And there are 2 other board members to the left of here, Dr. Lau and Rick Starcher, but we really want to make sure that we're keeping the locations confidential, and we don't want to have any identifiers in the background or foreground. So we had to do a little bit of editing with this photo, but this is what one of the air monitors actually looks like. And in the bottom, there is a compressor that will allow the air monitor to stay temperature regulated, which is really wonderful. Adds a little bit of weight. And this is our second monitor. It's actually holding our weather station. So we got to choose 1 out of the 5 to have a weather station. And this was all Dr. Lau's doings and idea. This allows us to see wind direction and really do better at identifying where the pollution is coming from, if that makes sense, when we have all the weather conditions and everything to go along with it. So this is what the second one looks like. And I think the second air monitor took just as long to install as the first one, which we, again, didn't really anticipate that taking that long. But there's just a lot of things that needed to be worked through that we just weren't ready or prepared for. So we do have 3 other monitors ready to install. The locations are Rochester, Center Township, and Beaver. So we are co-locating with one of the DEP's monitors that they have in Beaver. And there were some legal things that we had to jump through with that one. So we did have challenges, right? So when we were planning, these were our anticipated challenges. We knew that locations were going to take some time. And along with the locations, really scoping out, making sure that we had spread these air monitors throughout Beaver County in places where there wasn't any air monitoring happening, because we don't want to double up. We really want to make sure that we're using all of these air monitors to the best, I guess, the best benefit to the county, if that makes sense. So we just want to make sure that we aren't doubling up. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, still letting people in. We did anticipate some scheduling, I don't want to say issues, but some, we thought it was just going to, Wilbur comes and they install all the air monitors for us and everything is just done in one day. And really, we were not prepared for the reality, which was, they were here for 2 days and we were going to get 2 installed instead of 5. We did anticipate some technical issues with the solar panels, not as severe as what we ended up happening. And again, we knew that time was always going to be an issue, right? Time with Wilbur, time with our partners, because time is money, especially when you have a budget as tight as ours in planning with this. And so again, we've relied on the graciousness of a lot of volunteers. Here are unexpected challenges that we weren't prepared for. So the legal requirements that came with the co-location. So we have a lot of, we have a land lease that we had to sign. We had to purchase some extra insurance that we just weren't anticipating. We really didn't think about scheduling time with experts in terms of, I can't install these air monitors on my own. Not only are they heavy, but there are some electrical issues that I am just not equipped to deal with. And so not only did that mean that Dr. Lau would have to be present, but it also means that we needed some type of electrical engineer and or other chemists. So again, we've been relying heavily on volunteer time. Cellular data charges, we didn't realize that we would have to purchase SIM cards for each one of these air monitors. That wasn't something that was discussed with us ahead of time. I blame myself for not reading the entire scope from front to back, but that was new for us. And then also just keeping inventory updates and making sure that we're checking in with all of our vendors to make sure that we received every part, that we're not, having to run to Lowe's or, another store just to buy something that we might have in another box somewhere in the warehouse. So a lot of these things took time and effort that we really hadn't thought about before. In terms of objective 2 with the mobile air monitor, again, it's been received. It is up and ready. The only thing that we are putting together now is this giant solar panel kit that accompanies our mobile monitor as well, because it is very self-sufficient. It's going to use the solar panels to run, but they're a lot larger than the other ones that we saw. And it's taking some time to figure out how to get them hooked up. So we're actually working currently with NMET, who we purchased them from, just to make sure that we understand the ins and outs with the electrical boxes running to and from like the batteries up to the air monitor. And then the second piece of this is getting the tow hitch installed on a car. So we do have board members with trucks, and we've received offers, but at this point in time, we realize how important it is for a staff member to have a hitch installed on their car. So that's another, just kind of another holdup on that one. So for objective 3, we are working to inform Beaver County residents of the presence of real-time air monitors and the data available so that they can make the informed decisions about their health. So really, Hillary, if you could drop in the chat the link to our focus groups, we would really like to get feedback from the community in terms of what our website should look like. We want all of this data to be understood by everyone. We want it to make sense. And we just really want to know what you think before we design it. And so we have a soft launch date of January 1, 2025. That's if everything goes perfectly, because here we are almost mid-November and we still haven't started the focus groups yet. But we have been working very closely with our web designer, and we're hoping to get that rolled out sooner than later. And a piece that we have to talk about when we talk about, why this data is important and why it's important for residents to understand why they should be aware of all of the data is the upcoming Title V application approval for Shell. And so in speaking with the DEP in meetings recently, we found out that application and final hearing is likely going to take place in July, which is, it's good that we have enough time to gather some data before that point in time. But we have a petition that we're trying to obtain as many signatures on as we can. That is it just talks about the format of the hearing. That's all we're asking for. We're just asking for certain things like, please don't hold the hearing at noon, on a Tuesday when no one can get off. And if there are people waiting in line and they still feel like they have something to say, that we're able to reschedule. So things like that, not tough asks, nothing out of the ordinary, just really common sense things that we need in place. Objective 4 is, again, gather data through surveys and trends. And again, we're beginning this work now. So we have 2 air monitors up. I can say with confidence that all of us are looking for trends on these 2 air monitors all the time. But we really need to get the other 3 up so that we can start looking at that. And again, that's not my area of expertise. This is where Aaron comes in from the Environmental Health Project. And that's why he's here. He's going to start meeting with you all, with our community members, and make sure that everyone understands the data. And he's going to speak better to that than I can. Sorry, Aaron, I'm trying to wrap up right now. Objective 5. So again, determine if environmental air pollution in Beaver County has any biometric outcomes for residents. So we're working with University of Pittsburgh School of Public Health to get these meetings going. Soft launch again, January 2025. They've had some staff changes, unfortunately. Likely fortunate for them, for those staff members, but unfortunate for us when it comes to this project. But we have every faith that our partners are, prioritizing this, and we're still going to be on track. Actual biotesting we had in the application to begin July of 2025. So we're still within those parameters. And that gives us 6 months to begin with our planning. So I did just want to run through our current total spending. So our 5 air qual monitors came to $264,425. And our budget amount was a little bit less than that. So we came up short $22,778 on just the air monitors alone. This did have to do with an unexpected solar panel kit and then the shipping costs that were associated with that. So the solar panel kit came out to be just under $13,000. And to ship it came to just around $5,000. Keep in mind, there are no partners like around Pennsylvania for this. We worked with Wilbur, who is based in Vermont, And also they have a branch in North Carolina. So it was there were a lot of moving parts here. And the air monitors came from New Zealand. So they had to go from New Zealand first and then land in the States, and then Wilbur had to ship them to us. So there's just a lot of moving pieces here. So we ended up purchasing the 10 hours of technical training per month too, just to make sure that we weren't left kind of high and dry, not being able to use these at their full capacity. So our mobile air monitor was $34,450. We're right on budget for that one right now. Our planning and supply costs, we've made a payment to our artist in residence who's going to help us push this project out and make sure that the community knows it's here. Our air monitor host stipends have been sent, and actually only 4 of them, not 5. So that's at $6,900 right now. We had just under $1,900 in meeting costs, but that also included the monitor stands that we had to purchase and extension cords, the SIM cards, things like that. And then a $700 warehouse rental for 2 months. So just planning and supplies comes in at $11,936.64. And that gives us a total spend of $310,811.64, or just over 51% of our budget. And again, this project is only a success if we are able to achieve all of our goals. And the only way we're going to do that is with you all participating, telling us when you hear something, smell something, see something. Allow us to park the mobile monitor in your driveway or at your place of work. Really, any way that you can get involved, we would love to have you. We would love your support. And just being here today, we really appreciate it. This QR code will take you to our link tree. And in here, we have a survey that we're trying to get out. We also have a few petitions that we really believe in. So if you wouldn't mind supporting us in that way, we would really appreciate it. And again, my name is Hillary O'Toole, not to be confused with Hillary Flint. I am the executive director here. Hillary Flint is our director of communications and community engagement, and she puts a run of show and all of these meetings together. So again, if you have any questions for us about the project, please let me know. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen right now and see if there are any hands up. And I don't see any hands. Hillary, were there any questions in the chat that we need to address?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Well, then I am going to introduce Erin. Excuse me for 1 second. So I need to make sure that I am giving a proper introduction. So I just want to introduce Aaron Makatura. He's the program coordinator for Appalachia at Environmental Health Project, where he works in conjunction with frontline communities to monitor air pollutants and convey existing or potential health risks associated with sites of concern. He ensures accurate data analysis of monitor readings collected and communicates the findings as well as environmental health and public health information to our partner organizations and community members. Aaron earned a Bachelor of Science in Biology from Penn State University. He began his career as an environmental health specialist with the Allegheny County Department's Housing and Community Environment Program, where he responded to complaints and promoted community well-being for the residents of Allegheny County. Afterwards, he transferred to the ACHD Air Quality Program and served as an air quality technician, conducting inspection of a variety of facilities and activities to ensure compliance with relevant air quality regulations. Since joining EHP in 2023, Aaron has been excited to use his schooling and previous regulatory background to help educate and empower local communities. And I just have to say, Aaron showed up on day 2 of our air monitor install and was just a dream to spend time with. And I feel like I learned so much. And Aaron, welcome. And I'm going to hand it over.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Hillary. All right, as we said, my name's Makatura. I'm from Environmental Health Project. My contact information is on the screen for those of you that want to get in contact with me afterwards. So we'll just jump right in for the AirSense update. All right, so things that I'm going to be covering during this section of the presentation is going to be just letting everyone know about EHP or Environmental Health Project if you have not heard of us before. Then talk about just the AirSense overview. Some of this might be a little bit of a reiteration from what you have already heard from Hillary. And then also talk about specifically more about the air monitoring, the monitors that we are using, and then the different air pollutants that we are going to be monitoring for during that time. Um, okay. And then also to wrap it up, talk about some health protective measures that we will be that you can use just for general air pollution in your home, and then just open it up for some questions. So, all right. So first, I'd like to introduce an Environmental Health Project and provide you a brief background for you, those of you that do not know about us, and provide some updates for those of you that do. The Environmental Health Project is a nonprofit public health organization that assists and supports residents of southwestern Pennsylvania and beyond who believe that their health has been or could be impacted by oil and gas development or petrochemical development. EHP has worked with communities in the area to better understand their health risks from air pollution through our Health Watch community air monitoring program. Our program areas, uh, is, our organization is separated and organized into three overarching program areas. These include data collection and analysis, health and wellness education, and then policy and advocacy initiatives. We seek to support communities more broadly in understanding the exposures and risks generated by shale gas and oil development and from its extraction to its use in petrochemical facilities and then to its disposal as well. So we want to be able to provide support to communities affected at all stages of the shale gas development line. The strength of the organization lies in part in its direct contact with community members, learning about their circumstances and responding to their needs for relevant information and guidance. As such, meetings like this are very important to us, and I just want to take the moment to thank everyone for their time for coming out tonight. So, moving on to the AirSense project. As Hillary had said, the AirSense project was created with the goal of allowing Beaver County community members to access real-time air quality information and allow them to take action in order to mitigate any health risks associated with the air quality concerns. The project will achieve this through air monitoring, community education, and community health monitoring. For my presentation tonight, I'm going to be focusing on the air monitoring and some of the community education pieces. For the air monitoring portion of this project, we will have 5 high-quality stationary air monitors that will be installed throughout the county and that will continuously monitor for PM 2.5, NO2, VOCs, and ozone. Additionally, there will be 1 mobile monitoring unit that will be used to test for 1,3-butadiene. The data from the 5 stationary monitors will be available for the community in real time online, will be available online with real-time air quality information. Along with this information, we will be providing resources of how you can protect your health from the air pollution. What you might be wondering is what is this project going to be doing that is not already being done? There is air monitoring that is being done in Beaver County. I pulled up this map from Air Now to show the 3 separate air monitoring sites that are in Beaver County. So the DEP is currently conducting air monitoring at 3 sites. There's one in Beaver Falls, one in Brighton Township, and one in Fort McIntosh or Beaver proper. Only 2 air quality pollutants are being measured at these sites. The first one is ozone in ppb, and the other one is PM 2.5. You can find the results of these air monitors that are posted online on the DEP's website and are updated hourly. But as you can see, I've highlighted the three separate site names. The information is not consistent across those three sites. And as we can see, the sites are kind of clustered in on one side of the river and are kind of together. What we are planning on doing with the AirSense project is having 5 separate monitors that are these high quality monitors. And what they will be able to do is provide a larger picture of what the air quality is going to be across the entire county and not trying to extrapolate from just one monitor that is in one place. So as I said on the previous slide, the project will include 5 stationary monitors. These monitors will be the Airqual brand AQM 65 ambient air monitoring stations. These relatively small units will deliver continuous monitoring at near reference level performance, meaning that they will be able to offer data of similar quality to the EPA or DEP monitors. So they will be roughly about the same of what we will be seeing from those AirNow numbers on the previous slides. For this project, these monitors have been outfitted with sensors for 4 separate pollutants. Those are going to be PM 2.5 or particulate matter, NO2 or nitrogen dioxide, volatile organic compounds or VOCs, and then finally ozone. All the information will be collected by the air quality units and will be uploaded instantaneously to a cloud system, which will be monitored and analyzed by EHP and distributed to the public via the websites that have been previously mentioned. All right, so moving on to the different pollutants that we have chosen for this project. Those are four different pollutants. Some of them are criteria pollutants. The first one is particulate matter or PM 2.5. We probably have all heard a lot about this, especially from the wildfire smoke that came into the area last summer. So particulate matter is a composition of tiny liquid and solid particles that can be found in the air that we breathe. It comes from a wide range of sources such as dust, soot, smoke, diesel exhaust, can be from flaring, and other industrial processes. We monitor levels of PM 2.5 because these fine particulates can enter deep into the lung and eventually make their way into the bloodstream. Exposure to PM 2.5 may impair lung function, aggravate asthma symptoms, cause irregular heartbeat and heart attacks, and lead to premature death in those with heart and lung disease, such as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or COPD. The EPA standards for particulate matter 2.5 are 35 micrograms per cubic meter, or with the 24-hour average, are the 35 micrograms per cubic meter for the 24-hour average, and then the 9 is for the annual average. Right. The next pollutant that is going to be monitored is going to be nitrogen dioxide. Nitrogen dioxide is a part of a group of highly reactive gases known as nitrogen oxides, or NOx, and is a major component of smog. Nitrogen dioxide is used as an indicator for all of the other nitrogen oxides. Nitrogen dioxide is a common emission from the burning of fossil fuels and can come from vehicles, power plants, industrial emissions, and off-road sources such as construction, lawn and garden equipment. NOx emissions can react with other chemicals in the air and form particulate matter and ozone. Exposure to nitrogen dioxide can cause irritation in the eyes, nose, throat, and lungs. High levels of exposure over short periods of time can aggravate respiratory disease such as asthma and chronic and COPD, and can lead to respiratory symptoms such as coughing, wheezing, or difficulty breathing. Longer exposures to elevated concentrations of nitrogen dioxide may contribute to the development of asthma and potentially increase susceptibility to respiratory infections. People with asthma, as well as children and the elderly, are generally at greater risk for these health effects. All right, the third pollutant that we will be looking for, that we will be monitoring for, is volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. VOCs are substances that evaporate at room temperature and can be found in industrial emissions, household products, and building materials. There are some VOCs that also come from biological sources or agricultural processes. Some of the chemicals that we are concerned about can be benzene, toluene, ethylbenzene, or xylene, or some of the BTEX chemicals, and other toxic hydrocarbons such as formaldehyde and hydrogen sulfide. The health effects of VOCs can vary greatly according to what the actual compound is. Some of them are highly toxic, and some of them have no known effects. The health effects of VOCs can depend on the nature of the compound, the level of exposure, the length of exposure. Long-term exposure to some VOCs can cause damage to liver, kidneys, and the central nervous system, whereas short-term exposure can just cause eye irritation and respiratory tract irritation. It might even cause headaches, dizziness, fatigue, may have an allergic reaction to the skin, nausea, or have some memory impairment. VOCs are a very group of gaseous chemicals, and unlike particulate matter, there's no national ambient air quality standard for VOCs. All right, and as you can see with the chart that is there, there is a range of different health symptoms that can be associated with all of these different ones. These specific ones are associated with shale gas development at its source, but these are also different VOCs that can be emitted through some industrial processes as well. And finally, ozone is the last air pollutant that we will be monitoring for during this project. Ozone, or O3, is a gas made up of 3 oxygen atoms. Ozone can be found in 2 places. You have ozone that is in the upper levels of the atmosphere. We've all heard of the ozone layer. And then there's ground level ozone, which is a contributor to air pollution. The ozone layer in the atmosphere is termed as good ozone because of its protection to the planet from UV rays from the sun. Alternatively, ground level ozone is a contributor to air pollution and is a main component of smog. Ground level ozone is not a primary emission from contributors to air pollution, such as coming out of the tailpipes of cars, coming out of the stacks at power plants or chemical plants or industrial boilers. But as the picture shows, is formed secondarily through a process of chemical reactions from these emissions, such as NOx, VOCs, or PM 2.5, and sunlight. Ozone can cause health effects even at low levels. Exposure to ozone can cause coughing, a sore, scratchy throat, increased difficulty breathing, which includes pain during deep breaths. It can inflame or damage airways, aggravate lungs, such as asthma, emphysema, or aggravate lung diseases such as asthma, emphysema, and chronic bronchitis. Long-term exposure to ozone is linked to aggravation of asthma and is likely to be one of the many causes of asthma development. Ozone formation increases during hot and sunny days and can lead to elevated levels, which can lead to elevated levels of ozone. So by monitoring these four air pollutants, 2 additional, we believe that we will be able to have a much clearer picture of the air quality through the region, through Beaver County. And as Hillary had said previously, we will be co-locating one of the air quality monitors with the with one of the DEP monitors. The reason for this is to show that the monitors are getting the same or similar numbers. So that way the information is able to be shown that it is essentially like for like. Again, these are these are reference quality uh, units. And this is just showing that showing that they are at that reference quality, so that way we can see on uh, whenever the data is reported out, that it will be of the same quality and of the same caliber, and that way we can take that to the other ones that are not going to be co-located with the EPA DEP monitors. So I know that this has been kind of a little bit of talking about all of the different health effects from air pollution. I want to talk about different things that we can do to protect ourselves. So what protecting your health from air quality, air pollution. What can you do to protect your health from poor air quality? You want to pay attention to the weather and air quality forecasts, such as Air Now. Whenever the data from the air quals go up, we'll be letting you know exactly when that will be. And you will be able to use that to also pay attention to the weather and find those air quality forecasts. Air pollutants tend to hang around on overcast days, and they can be trapped in low-lying areas and river valleys whenever there is a temperature inversion, which is a frequent occurrence in southwestern Pennsylvania. Also, we recommend keeping your windows closed at night when the wind dies down and air pollution can settle close to the ground. You can also use an air purifier. EHP recommends the Austin Air Health Mate because it removes chemicals, small particles, odors, and dust from inside air. This portable unit can easily be moved from room to room and works best in homes that are well sealed, air sealed. Filters last for about 3 years, and while the system is optimal, there are other low-cost options available, including making an air purifier yourself with a box fan and a MERV 13 air filter to remove particles from the air. We have a link. I have a link here too. I'm going to be dropping the links that are up here in the chat whenever I'm done sharing my screen. But there's a from Raucous how to create that air purifier as well. You can also make sure to remove avoidable indoor air pollutants. So making sure that you are using a vacuum instead of sweeping floors is one way to reduce airborne particles, as well as making sure your gas stove is vented to the outside. Finally, one more important thing that you can do when you live near a facility of concern is to keep a health diary. There are some online tools that you can use, such as apps such as Medical Log or Simple, or if you wanted to just get a calendar. I know that some community members have told me that just having your normal flip monthly calendar they have used as a health diary, and they have found that very helpful. Because things that you want to include in your health diary are the date and time, symptoms, local weather conditions, environmental conditions, and document those symptoms, writing down what they are, how long they last, where they occur, whether it's indoors or outdoors, because weather conditions can affect how pollution travels through the air and could affect conditions such as allergies or asthma. Recording changes in air and water quality, as well as changes in industrial activity around you, can help you and your doctor understand the bigger picture. If you have concerns about health systems, you should talk to your trusted health professional. Keeping health diary can be an important tool to help that you can bring to a doctor to help facilitate that conversation. All right. And now, does anyone have any questions? Hillary, I don't know if were watching the chat.
Yep, I was watching. It doesn't look like anyone has any questions in the chat. Does anyone have a question for Aaron? No? Okay. Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, I know. Here. Right. I know that that's a lot of information, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out. This is the contact information for my environmental health project, and I will drop my email in the chat for anyone that would like to. John?
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to get myself off mute. Yeah, I'm wondering, like, what do you think you might find? So you're going to put these 4 monitors out in the community. Do you have any expectation as far as like how the measurements you get for, say, PM or ozone will be different from what those 3 monitors are that are clustered, in the sort of the center of the county? What are you hoping or thinking you might find that's going to be helpful?
I'm not sure that there's anything that we are hoping to get. I think it would be because of the geographic distribution, if there are maybe some other more localized sources that are I'm sorry, I'm not dividing up some of the more local communities in Beaver County is still a little bit new to me, but because of because of some of the more localized forms of point sources of pollution, I think that seeing if there is a greater difference between say up in Beaver Falls or down in Hillary, where was the one where we had just placed the with the weather station with that raccoon
Yep.
township? Okay.
Mhm.
So just having a more full picture, if there is, uh, I guess, more movement and pollution down south of the river, so to speak, because there are not monitors down there, just to see if there is a difference across the entire county.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's really important, especially for those who may not know. The fine particle standard was just revised down to 9, and the monitors that the county has are pretty close to that level. But so if there is even just a small gradient, across the county, generally the way that the state will cite their monitors, they want to put them in places where they think the air pollution is going to be worst, but they don't always know, they don't always get that right. And so I think this is going to be really important to hopefully demonstrate that they did make those decisions properly and that there aren't higher pollution levels in other parts. But this monitoring, I think, will be really useful in helping to identify if there is another area where they should be putting more regulatory monitors.
Yeah, definitely.
Marcia, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question for Aaron. Aaron, what are some of the natural sources of VOCs that you mentioned, and are they as harmful as the industrial and petrochemical sources?
So some of the, to my knowledge, I'm not an expert exactly on what VOCs are specifically going to be emitting, but I do know that plants such as pine trees, the sap is going to be a VOC. So if you are in, say, uh, a cluster of pine trees, you might have a high VOC reading, whereas that's just going to be different than, again, from benzene that might be coming out of an industrial facility. So to my knowledge, I do not think that they would be, but I can definitely double check on that and follow up for the health related measures.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to read a couple questions in the chat. We'll take it one at a time. So Christina asked, how much monitoring will take place before we see a trend in health effects?
So, Aaron, I don't know if you want, I feel like this one might be related to the bio study, because if we're talking about health effects, is that right or no?
I mean, I'll answer this, and that I think we won't know a trend right until we see one. And like Hillary had said, obviously we're going to be going over this data with EHP. We also have University of Pittsburgh and PSRPA, Physicians for Social Responsibility. And so I don't think we will have an idea of any trends until sometime in 2025. We just don't have the data yet, and the monitoring study will not start until this early in the new year.
Thanks, Hillary.
And then we have another question. Is there any monitoring of methane release?
So Aaron, I'll let you, I guess the answer to that question is no, we're not monitoring methane, not even on the mobile monitor. Marcia, you have your hand up?
I forgot to take it down. I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. Dr. Lau?
Yeah, as far as the question of methane, Shell does give in their emission reports how much methane they've released. And also I'm in contact with a professor at Penn State that wants to study the overall petrochemical build out. And one thing they're doing is going to be installing methane monitors. And I volunteered to help. They're quite sophisticated. They're not that easy to try to poach those, but that is a concern with it being such a potent greenhouse gas.
Thanks, Cliff.
There's a question in the chat from Jess. I assume this is about what Cliff is talking about. Cliff, do you have any idea where those monitors will be installed and how many? The ones that would be checking on methane.
That project is still being put together and stuff, so we don't know exactly where the monitors are going to be, but they're going to be all over southwestern PA.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no other questions for Aaron, we'll hand things over to Dr. Lau for a plant update. And I do just want to remind everyone to please stay on because we have an update coming from our Breathe partner, as well about our upcoming or about our current Purple Air project. So our next speaker again is Dr. Clifford Lau. He's a board member of BCMAC and one of our founding members. He holds a PhD in synthetic organic chemistry and has decades of experience as an industrial chemist. And Dr. Lau, if you would, please give us an update on what's been happening at the Shell plant over the last month.
Well, like I usually do, welcome everybody here and ask if anybody has anything that they've seen or smelled or heard at the Shell plant the past couple of weeks. We'll talk about it here, but definitely what's been happening at the Shell plant really puts the point onto what Aaron and Hillary have talked about as far as monitoring. Anybody have anything to report or comment on what they've seen?
Christine?
Hi, yeah, I do. I couldn't get mine to work. This is Lindsay Schultz. I had recently, it was on November 6th. I'm going to pull up my email. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I reported a complaint and I'm very fortunate to have an air monitor through the Breathe project, which I'm very appreciative of. And I guess I have two questions regarding this. My air monitor was in the yellow orange, so it was pretty high. It was higher than I'm normally used to seeing it. And my eyes started burning and I could smell something. So I texted my mom, who's on the call, Christine, and she smelled it as well. A colleague of hers smelled it. So I reported a complaint to through the form you guys have online. And I said everything that I was experiencing. And I did just get a reply back from a man named Scott Boudway, who I always get the response back. And his response was, they did report a malfunction on 11/6 as required. The odor was caused during maintenance work on a fuel oil tank. The malfunction is no longer ongoing. They will submit a full malfunction report as required within 30 days. And I guess I just get a little frustrated with their responses, because they just kind of gloss over everything. They never, I said I was experiencing, health complications from it, with a burning nose, with my eyes burning. And they kind of never really talk about that. So I just wanted to ask you guys, am I not reporting it correctly? I didn't know if I was able to use and say my air monitor is showing this. I didn't want to do it because I wasn't certain if that was something we were, allowed to do through the grant. But any feedback would be appreciated, because I just find it so shocking that they're just able to gloss over it so easily.
Hi, Lindsay. We really appreciate that you made that report. We also had some additional reports come in Friday, November 8th. And number one, yes, please feel free to share any of your air monitoring information with them. I'm really sorry that they never respond about the health symptoms. And it's a major gap that we have in Beaver County because we do not have a county health department. This is a part of a larger pact with a bunch of other counties that essentially says, X amount of counties have to agree to have a county health department, or none of these counties can get one. It's a huge problem in Beaver County. It also became an issue when different health studies were trying to happen after the East Palestine train derailment. And I think what we're seeing here is that the DEP, health symptoms, they don't really do anything with that, right? They don't have that expertise. They're about the environment. And this just highlights a huge problem we have in the county, and something that, I think we're all passionate at BCMAC about trying to eventually change. That we are never going to be able to get anywhere with these health symptoms if we don't have people in the county that are in charge of that. And, I think too, you should share that with Scott. I would respond to his email and say, I'm really frustrated that you aren't giving me guidance here, because they need to hear it too. So then they are going to the county commissioners and, our representatives and things like that.
Thank you, Hillary.
Yeah, I would say as much data you can give them as possible. Tell them about your monitor. Tell them if you observe which way the wind is blowing and stuff like that, and how close you are to the plant and stuff. But Hillary is correct. We've had this problem in discussing other measurements and stuff we've taken, that they are totally for measuring release and emissions, but cannot address the health effects of those emissions. That's not part of their job and stuff. We do need to have some input by a health department or whatever. But yeah, let them know. And the other thing, and what I was going to mention, is we've had several incidences of malfunctions. The DEP is way behind on posting those things. There's a issue going on right now with Shell has put in what they call a CBI, a confidential business information request, saying that the DEP can't report certain things because it's a business information, and they're going through that, and that's kind of slowing down. So all these malfunctions, we had a malfunction that we observed with the visible emissions from the stovetop back in early October, and we still haven't seen any type of malfunction report from that. So we have no idea what the extent of our exposures or anything like that. And as Hillary mentioned, and that's why I asked the question, if anything, we had a major smell event back on the evening or afternoon sort of November 5th. And I've looked at the air monitors and stuff, and one interesting thing I saw was the fence line data for Shell. This happened around 4:30 to 5 o'clock or so, and I forget whether it was cam 1 or cam 2, but both those are located near the railroad yards, they were basically going zero. And then for almost that exact same period of time, one of them, it didn't show a lot. It showed down in the 2 or 3 parts per billion, but it was that very short burst, and then it went back to zero again. So I just found that interesting, that it might be a correlation with that particular incident. But we did have a major flaring event happen then on November 8th. The emergency flare, the E flare, and they call it elevated flare, it went off and it did burn and did release visible emissions. We can see that there was black smoke coming off. Where they're trying to add up the time to see if it was over a 2-hour period, that the flare didn't last for 2 hours, but if in that time it still gave off black smoke within for a total of 5 minutes, then it would be considered a major violation. So we're still, and again, no indication from Shell or anything or the DEP about what that entailed. After that, they appeared to divert the whatever they were burning off to the soup cans, and they went on for several hours and possibly also had visible emissions, but we haven't had any report on that also. And I was just checking, I don't know, again, one of the things is being observant. Did anybody see the soup can activities last night at about 2:30? The breathe cam shows that they were going pretty hot and heavy at that time. So again, back to the trend that between 9:30 p.m. and 9:30 a.m. is a lot of the times when Shell is doing their burning things off and stuff like that. The last thing that Shell told us was that they were doing maintenance on polymerization unit 3. They were going to make some loud noises. I don't know if anybody ever heard it. We haven't really recorded anybody the loud noise. I'm not sure, they haven't told us whether or not that maintenance is done yet. I know that when I was observing the plant operation one time, I did see there's still a crane in that area and it appeared to be moving, but I'm not sure if what that really entails, and Shell doesn't reveal if they're done or up or operating, but it would appear that they were operating all the cracker units before they had the E-flare incident. So either something possibly went wrong with the cracking of the units, or something with the purification of the ethylene that we're making, and needed to get rid of a lot of it. That's all. But again, until we get the malfunction report, we're still in the dark about what's going on. I did check since the last thing they posted, they have done 11 additional inspection reports, and 2 of those inspection reports noted that these were not as the regular ones posted on the website, but through the DEP EFAC system, and 2 of them had notice of violation. And I've put in a request of a informal file review, just to see if I can try to get some information here before they since it's taking them so long to post things. So yes, for a while there, the previous month up until leading into October, it seemed like the plant was kind of quiet, and now things are really starting to happen, really proving to the fact that we need these additional sensors and stuff to be able to tell what's happening or what we're being affected by. So Does anybody have any other comments or observations?
Doesn't look like anyone has anything else.
Okay. Well, keep your eyes on it, write things down, and like Aaron says, as far as your health effects and stuff, but also write down any observations with as much detail as you can. And as I've always suggested, if you think what you're observing is coming from the Shell plant, they have the Shell community hotline, and they want to hear from us that we are seeing what they're doing, and let them know. They may not necessarily respond. They've never called me back or anything, but at least if you call them and you talk to somebody, they know that you're being affected by it, and they hopefully take record of that. So always, and then if it is a emission problem or something like that, definitely send a report into the DEP, either by email or phone, or by their complaint form.
Great, thank you, Dr. Lau. It looks like Chris does have a question.
Not a question. It's just I wanted to give some appreciation to Dr. Lau and all the work he does. Somebody has worked in it. He's absolutely right. Every time you see something, smell something, say something, make sure it's documented. And I just want to say that I appreciate the work that you do, Dr. Lau. And it's very critical. He really does look into the complicated things that most people don't have the capacity to do. So I just want to show my appreciation for what he does.
Thank you, Chris.
I think we're all with you on that one. Honestly, wouldn't even have the plan in place if it wasn't for Dr. Lau. So definitely. Oh, and Cliff, you're getting some accolades in the chat too from Phoebe and Christine. So just want to make sure you see those. Okay, if no one has anything else, we will just shift over to Emily. Dr. Lau, thank you so much again. So Emily, oh, it looks like Mary has her hand up. Go ahead, Mary. Mary, did you have a question?
I'm sorry, do you hear me now?
We do.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just also wanted to tell Dr. Lau that I really appreciate all those irregular late night, early morning hours that most people don't want to do that. So that's above and beyond the call of duty. But I also wanted to ask you, what do you suspect that they are doing between 9 p.m. at night and 9:30 a.m. in the morning?
Well, it appears that they're operating the plant. We usually see the cracker units running almost, all 6 of them or so. And then you look at about 10 o'clock, or, we have people come by at 1 o'clock in the afternoon when the DEP, this is another issue we have with the DEP, is they go out and they sit and watch the plant at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I can show you all kinds of photographs that it's not really doing much at that time. But if you look at it at 1 o'clock in the morning, then it seems to be running full blast. So we're trying to get the DEP to do more nighttime inspections, or as I say, between 9:30 p.m. to 9:30 a.m. Otherwise, they just say, I was out there, I saw or smelled no malodor, saw no visible emissions, and saw no fugitives. And then they leave.
Thank you.
Thanks for your question. Oh, Terry has her hand up. Go ahead, Terry. Go ahead, Terry. You've got your hand up.
I'm sorry, I was muted accidentally. It's still muted anyway, but yeah, I just want to add to what Dr. Lau said, that BCMAC, with Dr. Lau's guidance, put together 6 requests to the DEP for improvements in their inspections. And having more nighttime inspections was at the top of that list. And we took that list to Representative Matsey, and he used it to write a letter to the DEP. We heard back from the DEP after quite a wait and got some non-answers. And we're still looking into that. Just as an update.
Thanks, Terry. Yeah, I think there's a really big disconnect between, you know, this local office of the DEP and how we see things operate here, and the expectation and kind of like how things or how they're being told things, you know, to Harrisburg. Because yeah, the letter just didn't really didn't make sense to us. It didn't validate any of the things that we said, even though we have proof that, you know, some of these things aren't happening, like nighttime inspections. You know, these aren't things that we made up. These are things that, you know, Dr. Lau and Terry and everyone have heard specifically from the DEP themselves saying, we don't go out at night. You know, this is, so there's a clear disconnect. We're hoping that we can definitely follow up with them on that and figure out where the lines of communication are off here. Because it's not lining up. Christine asked, did they have a reasoning why they won't go out at those times? Dr. Lau and Terry, I'm going to let you both speak to this.
Well, the straight answer we usually get is it requires overtime, and they have to get approval to be able to pay them for overtime. So, and it seems like funding and stuff like that. And I forget, Terry, what was the word that the secretary of the DEP, she used the words that they do numerous or various. You know, she did not use a number, but she used some adjective that seemed to indicate, you know, a large number. And that is, you know, depending on how she defines that word, it's not what we find to be when we've looked through their reports, at least the ones they've posted, that they do that. But it seems to be a matter of funding, of why they don't go out.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we,
Sorry. No,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead, Terry.
Yeah, I would just add that we would like to have, at this point, because we've done all this in writing so far, like to have a conversation with the secretary of the DEP, whose name is Jessica Shirley. And we requested that meeting, but did not get a response on that.
Terry, Chris said that they might have some information. So Chris, can I hand it over to you?
Yes, please. Dr. Lau and I have worked together for a while, and we've been communicating out in the same region. So it's regional with DEP. And I've seen interesting responses when it comes to, you know, there's a lot of things going on in your area politically as well, with this, what do they call it, with CNX, the radical transparency programs. We've actually gotten them out on the sites with their FLIR OGI cameras. And that's really interesting because Dr. Lau has seen the same thing, that when we push on them. So I would like to offer whatever we can in that. Their focus is particular, I will say. So when they say, you're absolutely right, when it comes to their, so we have a meeting and we're going to ask like the ratio between the permits and stuff that they have and the employees or staff that they have available for that. So when something happens in a, like, we're looking at rapid response, like when they go out, what are they doing? Dr. Loud knows it's the best. What kind of equipment are you bringing out? And are you doing a sniff test? Is your nose calibrated? No. I'll just say that. But it's really weird out in the same region that we're getting responses on well pads. So that you have to understand the focus. So I feel like whatever I can offer you, maybe there's a way to push that out and say, like, why is not the Beaver cracker plant getting the same focus? I don't want you guys to be left behind in anything that anybody does, but if they don't have the resources, that is something to talk about, because they shouldn't be permitting, right? But they have the resources to do it. Dr. Lau is probably one of the best things to say. Why don't they have their certain meters when they go out? FLIR might not be the best thing, which is what I use, but you know, he has other equipment he has been able to prove, and relentlessly, nighttime and daytime, I've gone out with him, even though it was not so successful when I was out there with you. But like, he's absolutely right. Why is the DEP not responding that way? And if it's about resources, then that's a very good focus to say, like, why are you allowing and whatnot. But I can tell you right now, we're getting responses in the well pad area, which is really odd, right? From the air quality people. So I don't know. If that's any type of help for you, whatever I can do, help.
Thanks, Chris. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that. Terry, did you have any other comment or anything to say, or a follow-up?
No, not, I mean, this is something we continue to work on. But I do appreciate Chris's insight and, you know, everyone's interest in it. We'll just have to see if we can make some progress here. We also talked with this a little bit about one of Representative Matsey's aides in Harrisburg, and I'm supposed to be in touch with him soon about some follow-up, and that's just where we stand right now with it.
Thanks, Terry. We appreciate you. Okay. So with 10 minutes left, I am going to thank Dr. Lau for the update. Thank you all for your continued reporting. And please keep in mind, Hillary did drop the link to our petition that we have, or our petitions that we have going. And that also includes the information on where to report if you see something, smell something, hear something. So now we'll hear from Emily Klein. She's the program manager for the Upper Ohio River Valley Monitoring Project at the Breathe Project. It's a mouthful, but we've just been calling it the UORV project. BCMAC is a really proud partner on this initiative to get purple air monitors distributed to community members in and around Beaver County. So Emily, I'm going to push it over to you, but we do have a link if anyone wants to sign up to get an air monitor. That will be forthcoming in the chat as well. So Emily, what's new?
Yeah, thank you, Hillary. And thank you for the update on the AirSense project, and Aaron and everyone. This conversation has been, I think, really productive and interesting to hear. So, and I kind of see this project as fitting in nicely with the AirSense project. It's so great that we're going to kind of have this network of monitors that can give us a much clearer picture of what's in the air across Beaver County. So these purple air monitors are like small monitors that anyone can mount outside of their house. So you can put it on like your porch or a fence if you have one. And they give you real-time information about particulate matter in the air. So it's a really helpful tool for if you're like experiencing symptoms or if you notice something happening in the area. This is one of the first places you can look, would be the monitor outside of your house to see what that's reading. And then you can also look at the monitors across the region to see what they're showing and see what kind of patterns you might find. So yes, I think Hillary just dropped the link to request one if you're interested in having one. And if you've already requested one and for some reason haven't heard from us, please reach out to me. You can email me at emily@breatheproject.org and I'll share that email address. But we really are just in the beginning stages of pushing these out across Beaver County, and the goal is to get a network of 100 of them out. So the only other update is that we have a community meeting coming up about this project. That's on Tuesday, November 19th. So next Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. at the Beehive in Beaver Falls. And Hillary just dropped the link to that. Thank you so much. And we're excited about that meeting because since, like I said, we're really just starting to launch this, we're going to be talking about branding, how we want to name the project, what kind of resources people who host purple air monitors would be interested in having. And then we'll kind of go through some of the patterns you might be able to see on the purple air monitors in the region. So we hope that you could attend the meeting. It'll be at the Beehive, and then you can also attend virtually on Zoom. And I'll also drop a link to the flyer if you want to share that with anyone in your network. And then if you're interested in hosting one, I think there are some folks on this call who have them. So if you want to talk to anyone about their experience with it, I think that's also a great way. And again, happy to chat with anyone who's interested in learning more about the project, and really excited to be working with BCMAC on this and on this whole network of monitors that's going up.
Thanks so much, Emily. We really appreciate having you. Emily's new to the position, so you wouldn't know it. She's just taken to it so easily. So thank you for all of your hard work on this. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Great, great. Okay, well, I just wanted to say that this is our last webinar for 2024, and we cannot thank you all enough for continuing to show up, do what you can to protect Beaver County. Honestly, I think the theme of today has been, it takes a village. And so we really look forward to sharing our plans and work in 2025. And we also really look forward to getting your feedback. So anything and everything that you'd like to share with us, we welcome. We will all have the opportunity to weigh in on Shell's first Title V permit, which will determine their emission limits for the next 5 years, as we discussed earlier. We can't stress enough how important it is for you to provide public comments and attend the actual public meetings for this permit application. Please understand that we plan to keep you informed every single step of the way. But start thinking about what you would like to say to make sure that Shell's limits are tight and as strict as possible so that we're not being exposed to any of this air pollution. If you need anything in the meantime, please feel free to reach out to us via email or DM. We really want to thank you. And we also want to reiterate that we have some upcoming events. So we have this Friday, a Sing for Solidarity. And it's at the Baby Bellow in Beaver Falls. Again, it's a karaoke fundraiser, so it should be really fun. It's all ages, free to attend. And if you want to sing, we just ask that you make a small donation to support our holiday mutual aid initiative. And Hillary Flint is dropping the RSVP in the chat right now. We're really trying to give back to community members in terms of Thanksgiving. Last year we did a dinner. This year we're trying to give out gift cards and make sure that everyone in need is receiving supports. The initiative is, we're calling it BCMAC's Caring Cornucopia. And again, the Giant Eagle gift cards will support community members who have been affected by the Shell plastics plant, the East Palestine train derailment, and chemical disaster, or broader impacts of the petrochemical industry in Beaver, Lawrence, and Columbiana counties. Gift cards are available on a first come, first served basis. So please sign up if you'd like to receive one, or if you know someone who's in need. Hillary Flynn has dropped the sign up form in the chat, and recipients will be notified by November 24th. Again, one last thing, there will be a public hearing on Monday, November 25th for the 13 criminal charges against Shell's Falcon pipeline. This is for violating the Clean Streams Law during the pipeline's construction through Washington, Allegheny, and Beaver counties. The charges include 7 counts of unlawful conduct under the Clean Streams Law, 3 counts of prohibition against discharge of industrial wastes, and 3 counts of prohibition against other pollutants. We need your support at the public hearing to show our communities stand against pollution and demand accountability, and we hope to see you there. And I know that I just sounded like a robot reading that, but it is so, so important that I word this correctly, that we make sure we're getting accurate information to everyone. And this is really how you can make a difference in our community. So thank you all again for attending. Thank you, Hillary Flint, for putting this together. Thank you, Erin, Emily, Dr. Lau. Thank you all for showing up and supporting us. And we look forward to seeing you all again in January.